The war is not in the future. It is already here. Most of us are too busy living our day-to-day lives to take notice. The first world nations of the West, led since shortly after the Second World War primarily by weak ideologues, are being slowly snuffed out, while we either pretend not to notice or simply do not believe that that could possibly be true. Our weak heads of state concerned with virtue signaling and climate change initiatives neglect what most requires their attention, the slow erosion of our core identity and values. The preservation of Judeo-Christian values upon which our societies were built has become the politically incorrect and unacceptable way to live. In fact, today, in 2018, Christmas has become the holiday season, and Christian summer charities are forced to attest their agreement with the pro-choice views of the governing Liberal Party if they hope to be recipients of grant monies to continue to run their programs. Any disagreement or dissent from the so-called mainstream narrative is labeled with a variety of invectives which are slowly losing their meaning. Racist, homophobe, Islamophobe, bigot, to name just a few. And what, you may ask, does any of this have to do with a future war? Everything. It has everything to do with the direction that we're taking at our own peril. Europe is lost. In as little as 1 or 2 decades, it will be unrecognizable. The United States and Canada are not far behind. And if we're not careful, we too will soon be past the point of no return. While Islam quietly works from within to establish its third caliphate, a stated objective of this religion since it lost Europe to the Spaniards in the mid-1600s, we are persuaded by our leaders to believe that through acceptance and understanding, we can all just get along. A global nation, no borders required. Except when our Judeo-Christian ways clash with this culturally incompatible ideology, there is no desire to go along to get along. Rather, and the most radical and vocal of them openly and regularly state this, we will learn to submit or they will kill us. A declaration of war, if ever there was one. So will someone please explain to me how it is that we're not already well established in the trenches? Oh, I know. It's because we're refusing to take off the blinders to see the hole that we've dug ourselves into. And pretty soon, we will no longer be able to climb out. My 95-year-old father tells the story of when he delivered a speech to a room full of Jews in the late 1930s about the atrocities that were being committed in Germany as Hitler ramped up his concentration camps in an effort to implement the final solution. He was laughed out of the room and spit on by rabbis, no less, who found his assertions preposterous. After all, who could imagine a first world nation like Germany committing such unspeakable atrocities? Yes, there are a few loud voices in the room now, but for some reason we still refuse to listen. Maybe we too simply cannot believe that there are evildoers amongst us who will never be satisfied, never placated, and who will never rest until they have obliterated the unbelievers in their quest for a return to an Islamic state, long sought after and now closer than ever to being realized. Terror attacks, subtle changes in our educational systems and governing bodies, accommodations to Muslim demands, and frankly, our fear of offending will be our undoing. If we ever hope to win this war, we must stop pretending there is no problem with Islam and reassert ourselves in our schools, our churches and our synagogues, and above all, put a stop to this insane influx of unvetted migrants at our borders. The time to act is now. We must open our ears to those voices in the room. It is the harder choice to make, but the right one and the only one.